What I'm trying to say is that men should, in their own time, in their own space, sit down to try to understand their own self, so they don't go out into the world as an unconscious man, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing when you're running away from your emotions and your feelings. You're going out into the world as an unconscious man, and you're acting out unconsciously based on your fears and your insecurities. I used to think that I was the only one who had these negative feelings within me, these feelings of insecurity, of feeling inadequate, of feeling incompetent, of feeling that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Because every time I just go out with my mates, go out with the boys, and it's all just about the bands, it's all about the drinking and having fun. There's no talking about what's really going on internally. But as I realized that throughout the years, as I've gotten more mature and as some of my mates have also matured, and when I've got to have real conversations with them, it made me realize that all of us men are the same. All of us have our insecurities. All of us men are running away from something. And I think that's why there's this movement of men should be more open and more expressive of their emotions. And while I agree with this to an extent, I think the most important thing which this is missing is that men need to be more open and expressive to themselves. Not necessarily with other people, although that may help, but most importantly with themselves. And this is what I've been running away from for most of my life. And every time I feel these feelings of inadequacy or not feeling enough, then I would shove it down and sweep it under the rug. But when you sweep it under the rug, it just gets relegated to your shadow. And in the realm of psychology, that which is repressed will always seek outward expression. And this manifested for me in the way of getting depressed, getting anxious, overeating, not being able to sleep. And it really got bad to the point where I was actually having panic attacks and I wouldn't know what to do. And then sometimes I'd even call up my guy mates. And since they didn't do the inner work themselves, and the solution to me was just to go out and drink with the boys and have a few diaries. So the reason I'm making this video is that I really want to delve deep down to try to understand why us men are so afraid of our emotions, why we, even in a closed room, when we're by ourselves, why we tend to try to run away from that which is affecting us internally. Why is it that we would rather turn on the TV and watch the footy and drink a beer rather than do the real work and heal ourselves internally? And it made me think back to like thousands of years ago when we were hunter-gatherers, where our utility as man was our ability to perform and our ability to perform competently, to know how to hunt and know how to kill and know how to bring home the food to the tribe. Even if you're a man in the tribe, if you were the weaker member of the tribe who wasn't able to pull their weight, then I think that you were looked down upon. Then you will feel worthless, you will feel useless, and then the women of the tribe wouldn't want to be with you because you're the shittest male of the tribe. I think this whole mentality carries over into the modern day. And so what I believe is that our deepest fear as men is the fear of looking like we don't know what we're doing, the fear of looking weak, the fear of looking incompetent, the fear of feeling useless in the eyes of those you love the most. You don't want to feel like you're letting them down. You want to have this strong facade, this strong character. And so when you have feelings of inadequacy, when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, when you feel a little lost in life, then the last thing you want to do is to confront this fear. And there's this quote from Genesis. It goes something like, I was afraid, I was naked, so I hid. And I think that's a perfect metaphor for men. We don't want to be seen vulnerable to our own inadequacies, to our own insecurities. And I do want to say that every single man out there has their own insecurities. You may see the big alpha gym bro, but then maybe he's insecure about his finances. Or you see the rich millionaire, but he's insecure about his own body. Or you see the family man that seems like he's got it all together, but deep down he's on the verge of breaking down and having a midlife crisis. Everybody has their own insecurities. And this is something which I've been struggling with in the past couple months. Some inner work which I've been trying to do, trying to integrate within myself. One of the biggest things which I had to learn was that sitting down, reflecting, and writing your emotions, although it is a bit more of tapping into your feminine, is actually in of itself making you more stronger as a masculine man, because you need to balance things out. It's like a yin and a yang. The bigger the yin, the bigger the yang. The more that you tap into your feminine by sitting down, taking the time to journal and feel the emotions and write them down and understand them and then integrate them, then the larger the masculine can grow. And that's the thing. I was thinking, sometimes I always see a guy and I think, man, he's such a tough guy. I reckon he doesn't even need to journal because he's just so stoic. No, every man is the same. And the more that a man taps into his feminine to understand his own emotions and insecurities, then the more masculine and more stoic that he can become. And so what I believe that what ails men mostly in today's society is them not addressing their own insecurities to themselves. And this is not to be, and like, I'm not trying to be like those, the whole thing of men should run around expressing their feelings and crying in front of everyone. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that men should, in their own time, in their own space, sit down to try to understand their own self, so they don't go out into the world as an unconscious man, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing when you're running away from your emotions and your feelings. You're going out into the world as an unconscious man, and you're acting out unconsciously based on your fears and your insecurities. When an opportunity arises and it requires a certain level of risk to be able to seize it, then if you are insecure of yourself as a man, then you may miss out on a particular opportunity just because you weren't willing to take the risk, which is rooted in you being not being secure or confident in yourself as a man because you have not processed that feeling. Or another example would be that if you are a man and you're insecure, then you're someone who's hurt. And there's this quote which goes, "Hurt people hurt people." And I can definitely say that this is something which I've done in my life and something which I'm not proud of. So back then in university, I was one of the dumbest people in my class, because university, and then especially in engineering, you've got the smartest of the smart, like math nerds over there, and I wasn't really fully a math nerd, although I am. But compared to these people, I felt really inadequate. So what ended up happening was that I found somebody in my friend group who I perceived to be somebody who was a bit less intelligent than I was. So for the better part of that 5 year university degree, then when we would be hanging out with our friends, I would always put him down. I would always project my insecurities onto him. I would make him feel inadequate. I would make him feel dumb, because that's really what I truly felt internally within myself. I did not want to confront that or admit it to myself. So I projected it onto another, and I know I probably really hurt this person, and I feel, I don't feel really good about it, and it feels weird just expressing it to the world. But this is what happens. This is what happens when you, as a man, don't take responsibility for your own emotions. That's where that's the biggest thing. We need to take responsibility for our own emotions, and to do that, we need to, like I said, tap into the feminine in our own place and time, or with a therapist or with a trusted guy friend, to be able to help us work through these feelings. And the cool thing is, what ends up happening is that if you are a man and you decide to become more conscious of how you feel and integrate that within your character, then that is leading you towards self-actualization, and things will unfold. It's incredible, because as when I started doing this, when I started listening to my emotions and integrating it, my intuition started to grow. Opportunities started to present themselves forward to me, and I started to take them. And an example is me with this YouTube channel. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined myself having a YouTube channel expressing things which I've learned, but this is where being truthful to myself has led me. This is the path to self-actualization. At the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. It is becoming that which you can become. If you want to become the best version of yourself, if you want to walk in alignment with your higher self, you're going to have to self-actualize. And the part of self-actualization is rooted in truth. And truth is the full and total acceptance of what is. And that is what is going on within you internally, the good and the bad, integrating all of it, tapping into your feminine, understanding your insecurities and fears, and integrating that to become the best version of yourself that you can be. And when you take the path of self-actualization, things will unfold for you, opportunities will come, which is in alignment with your purpose. Anyway, that's all which I wanted to say in this video. And this is a topic which I'm extremely passionate about: male mental health and spirituality, self-development. And if you guys are interested in these types of videos, just let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.